What's cracking, ladies and gentlemen? 49 coming at you, another community shoutcast for the OUSA Dota League Season 2. We're finally loading into the best of 3 series of Recursion up against 5IP. We've actually changed the name to 2IP for this one. And so this is game number 1. I believe it's Recursion that has first pick. They were about an hour late. Usually under forfeit rules that would be a serious forfeit, but since 5IP were also delayed in being able to set up their game due to issues over at the Net Cafe, the forfeit rule was temporarily waived for this game since both teams were equally late. Neither team was waiting on the other. Finally, we've got the game loading in. So Doombringer first ban coming up from Recursion, as well as a Tidehunter ban coming up from 5IP. The drafter Broder is a big fan of being able to of the Tidehunter, but only when he has first pick. When he's playing against the enemy team where they have first pick, he'll always instinctively ban out the Tidehunter, just because of the sheer amount of control capability he provides you in the offlane. And so Lycanthrope being banned out is the second ban from Recursion. Lycanthrope a very powerful hero to ban out in the first banning stage, but also, especially against a team like 5IP, with an exceptional Lycanthrope player with Wolfcut that being his favorite hero. He's got something like an 87% win rate, or something obscene on that hero. And so you don't want to deal with a good Lycanthrope player and a team that can capitalize on that, since every time you lose a fight against a Lycanthrope, they're getting far more out of the bargain than you are. Because they can take your towers, they can pressure your racks, as well as providing continuous split push pressure, and the ability to quickly snowball out of control with Roshan if you're over on the die side. Looks like 5IP on the Radiant side, so they've got easier lanes, especially for their offlaner. Razor being the second ban coming up from 5IP. And so Batrider still is in the pool, but Batrider has received a fair amount of nerfs in the recent patch. So his recovery potential has been significantly nerfed, so if you are able to shut down the Batrider and prevent him from getting a 13-minute Blink Dagger, his impact in the game is a lot lower than it should be. And Batrider is a hero that you want to play when you're ahead. You need to get that early Blink Dagger up on him, otherwise he tapers off as a hero, especially with all the nerfs to the range and the Flaming Lasso. So Sand King first pick up for Recursion. Very rare to see Sand King picked up, especially as your first pick, when you've got heroes such as the Faceless Void and the Skywrath Mage, as well as the Shadow Shaman that's still in the pool. And so Sand King, as a support hero, you have to play him as a 4 position. He's a very greedy support because you have to get the Blink Dagger up on him, just because it synergizes so well with his Barrow Strike as well as Epicenter. Sand King most likely won't be able to get a good Epicenter off without a Blink Dagger, unless of course you are able to pull off some crazy juking moves. But from 5IP, very standard picks coming out from them. Shadow Shaman as well as the Faceless Void. The advantage of the Faceless Void is you have to pick up heroes that work well with them. So Faceless Void over in the offlane, probably going to be played by Broder himself. And so Shadow Shaman works very well to Faceless Void because the Mass Serpent Wards deal an obscene amount of damage, but their only drawback is there's immobile units, and so Faceless Void's Current Sphere provides all the lockdown for Shadow Shaman to be able to do his thing. Nature's Prophet being picked up, going to be the offlaner for Recursion. Nature's Prophet has fallen out of the meta just because of how much farm he needs to really become relevant and how easy it is to be able to fight as 5 and be able to shut him down. Since the biggest issue with the Nature's Prophet is he can provide that split pushing presence, but he needs a fair amount of items before he can do so. So it's the reason why we've seen more of the Admiral Bulldog build, where you forego the Midas in exchange for a Maelstrom into a Blink Dagger, so you can continuously apply split pushing pressure, as well as being able to be online and more engaged early on. Since the Nature's Prophet, the advantage of that is that every time you go in against a tri-lane that has a Nature's Prophet in the enemy team, it's 4v1 or 4v3 as opposed to 3v3 because he could teleport in. Bounty Hunter and the Storm Spirit being banned up by Recursion. Very unconventional bans. The Storm Spirit ban works very well in this case against Nature's Prophet, and the Bounty Hunter, you can run him as a 4 position. I mean, teams such as Cloud9 have run the Pylai Bounty Hunter where you go for a Blink Dagger ASAP and just rely off the track gold, but it's not really something that warrants a high enough ban priority, especially the second banning stage. Templar Assassin and the Invoker being banned up from 5IP, and so they're banning out very powerful 1v1 mid heroes. And so just because Broder wants to ensure that Mule, who's going to be their mid player for 5IP, he gets a good lane. So Death Prophet being picked up. Templar Assassin's a hero that completely shuts down the Death Prophet, just because she could tank through the Crypt Storm using the Refraction out CS her. But Puck still is in the pool, so Recursion can go for the Puck pickup, which works very well against the Death Prophet, since you could phase shift the Crypt Swarm and then bully her out of the lane with your superior right-click damage, as well as being able to passively win the lane through out-CSing them. And so Recursion, they picked up their offlaner as well as their primary support. They still have their secondary support. They've actually picked up a Bristleback, so it could be potentially a mid-Nature's Prophet or a tri-lane Bristleback. Tri-lane Bristleback, the biggest disadvantage of that is Bristleback is a hero where he's very powerful for the first 30 minutes, but you have to be able to secure enough of an advantage for your team to be able to win the game. Otherwise, if you're going to be playing that 1 position role, if you're playing him in the 3 position role, so long as he's able to build utility items for your team, so he could be a mech carrier, he could pick up something like a Pipe of Insight if you really need it, otherwise you could go for something like a Heaven's Halberd, or even a Assault Cuirass to be able to make him that tanky presence that the enemy team can't ignore. Because the biggest issue that a lot of players make with the Bristleback is they build him just focus on survivability. And surviving is fine on Bristleback. You have to always walk that fine line between having enough survivability to survive the enemy team's damage output, but at the same time being able to deal enough damage or to warrant enough of a threat that they have to focus you in the first place. Because otherwise, if you've just built survivability on them, they could just ignore the Bristleback, kite them around, kill everybody else in the team, then turn around and fight the Bristleback 5v1. So Ancient Apparition going to be the secondary support pickup over for the boys in 5 IP. So Shadow Shaman and the Ancient Apparition, not the greatest support duo in the sense that you've got a fairly limited engagement range. If you are able to combo the Ice Vortex and Shadow Shaman's able to quickly capitalize with, if he starts with Boots for instance and get the Shackle off, then you can make up for the biggest disadvantage of Shadow Shaman in the early stages of the game, which is slow movement speed. But otherwise, it's a very powerful support duo because both heroes work extremely well with the Chronosphere. You've got the Ice Blaster set up onto the easy Chronosphere, you've got Mass Serpent Wards, and Death Prophet with the Exorcism. You've got all these different failsafes to ensure that the Chronosphere will be able to deal obscene amounts of damage for its duration, as well as the fact that Mule has a bit more flexibility, the Faceless Void Player has a bit more flexibility. If they catch the Death Prophet, so long as she has Exorcism up, it's not necessarily the end of the world. And with the Shadow Shaman as well, so long as he's able to drop his Mass Serpent Wards, even if you, for whatever reason, if you do happen to catch the Shadow Shaman, if you get the wards off, you can at least recover off the back of that. And Recursion, they've actually got no counter Void heroes picked up. Usually when you see the enemy team pick up a Faceless Void, you want to make the Void's job as difficult as possible. And so you want to pick up heroes that work very well through the Chronosphere. So for instance, the Wraith King is a good pickup against the Void because he'll survive through the Chronosphere since he's got Reincarnate. And with the Wraithfire Blast and the crit, he can man mode up against the Faceless Void and do okay. Another hero, fantastic hero, is the Dazzle or the Shadow Shaman, because if you don't catch them in the Chronosphere, they can simply disrupt or Shallow Grave whatever target you go on, and so they buy you enough time so that you can outlast the Chronosphere. And Viper being picked up, very powerful 1v1 hero, especially against the Death Prophet. The last time we saw this matchup was Eastern against Singtur, and Tiggold Biddies was playing the Viper, unfortunately chose to go for a very old school build where you go for 3 points in the poison attack and then choose to max out the Nether Toxin. So because he didn't have any points in the Corrosive Skin, Death Prophet was able to easily win the lane just through pushing him back with the Crypt Swarm. Since when you're playing against a Death Prophet, you want to make sure that you check her Crypt Swarms. You can't prevent her from throwing out the Crypt Swarm since she'll always have mana to do so and she'll always be able to do so to control the lane. So what you do instead is you have to check it, so every time she throws out a Crypt Swarm, you're getting something in return. Whether that be dot damage or a snare coming up from the Corrosive Skin, or a few right clicks or a nuke of your own, you have to make sure that you're on the same level as the Death Prophet, since otherwise if she has the HP advantage over you, and you're constantly eating these Crypt Swarms, she could play very aggressive and go for a kill attempt. Crypt Swarm has an incredibly large range, and Death Prophet's got an excellent animation for being an attack cancel, animation cancel, being able to right click you down, so she can very easily run you down, especially if she gets the boots advantage over you. And so it's the reason why you have to constantly check it. So Viper, if he goes for the max Corrosive Skin build, every time he gets clipped by the Crypt Swarm, not only is he taking less damage, Death Prophet's being snared, and Viper with a point up, or 2 points up in the poison attack, can then punish her by throwing a few right clicks in exchange. So that means that the Death Prophet and the Viper are always at reasonably the same amount of HP. And since Viper benefits more from the enemy hero being at low HP through the Nether Toxin, as well as the survivability he gets from the Corrosive Skin, he's in a very good position to then be able to harass her out of lane and then out-deny and out-CS her. And so 5th ban, Recursion really burning through a lot of their time. Actually, it looks like I might be having some internet issues on my own. Or at least on Dota 2, since it looks like... Oh no, never mind. The time is still ticking through. I was looking at the reserve time, I was wondering why the hell it wasn't going down. Yeah, Recursion, they're dipping into their time. They finally decided to ban out the Timber Sword. Even though the Faceless Void has been picked up as the offlaner, you can run Faceless Void in the 1 position, as Sing 2 did choose to do so up against Eastnug. But the issue with the Faceless Void in the 1 position is... it puts too many of your eggs in one basket. If you pick Faceless Void in the offlaner, you still can pick up another form of physical DPS. Whereas if he's your 1 position, he's most likely going to be your only form of physical damage, and that means he has to consistently land perfect Chronospheres, and you have to play this full protect 1 strat. Since it's very difficult to pick up a physical DPS in the mid or off lane role. I mean, Templar Assassin is probably the most reliable one, or the Razor. But the Razor's been banned out, and the Viper's been picked up by the enemy team. And so Death Prophet, she can provide a fair amount of damage through the Exorcism, but it will eventually start to taper off the later the game goes. And so that's why having Faceless Void in that 1 position role, it puts too much pressure on the Void player to be able to effectively carry out the draft. Whereas having that 3 position role means that if you pick up a ranged carry to go with the Void, or a melee carry that functions well under the Chronosphere, such as the Ember Spirit with its later fist, it's not as big of an issue. And so 5IP, they're dipping into the rest of their time for this. They know they've got all the time in the world to be able to choose their safe lane farmers. And their mid lane should be able to break even against the Viper. Death Prophet has to play very passive. But if the Viper isn't able to capitalize, or if he skills incorrectly, the Death Prophet can easily destroy the Viper. since Viper is completely reliant on corrosive skin against the Death Prophet. The reason why you don't want to go for points in the Nether, more points in the Nether Toxin, the poison attack, is she's not going to let you get in range to hit her in the first place. You're going to hang back, constantly throw out the Crypt Swarms, and we've actually got a sniper being picked up, so we could be seeing an offlane Death Prophet with a 1-position Void and the mid-position Sniper. This is something that Broda will continue to talk to me about, with the Sniper as a counterpick to the Viper. And so Mule, he's the mid player, he plays hundreds of matchups with these kind of heroes. He's actually been practicing the Sniper up against the Void, the Viper combo. So the advantage of this is Sniper, if you get a few points in the headshot and a few points in take aim, you could out-harass the Viper, since Viper's such a slow hero. But we've got a Pudge pickup, so we could potentially be seeing a mid-Pudge, in which case we'd be seeing an offlane Bristleback, a jungling Nature's Prophet, and a dual lane with a Viper and a Sand King. I really don't like this, because if they decide to clash aggressive tri-lane, Sand King against 2 other support heroes, especially early on, can't do anything. And Nature's Prophet in the jungle is easy food for any support rotation. And the Bristleback, he could do a fair amount of damage, but up against the Void, Void will just time lock him down. So it will be very interesting to see how Recursion execute their draft. And we've got Mule over the Sniper. Sniper up against Pudge. So long as you don't get hooked, that's always the caveat with Pudge, you should be the one in your lane. And so there we might even be seeing a lot of investment in terms of wards. So it looks like Wolfguard's going to be playing the Death Prophets over the boys of 5IP. Mule, their mid lane player, going to be the Sniper. Only the stand-in, Yoshi's younger brother, going to be the Ancient Apparition. Standing in for Salo or Thundercunt, who's driving off to Christchurch for whatever reason. I fisted the King Killer too easy. Going to be that 5-position Shadow Shaman. And we see Broda going to go over to the offlane as the Faceless Void. So we're going to be seeing a tri-lane Death Prophet. Death Prophet in the tri-lane isn't too bad, since she does function very well with farm. But the issue with her is you want to get experience more than farm, since you want to get the level 2 exorcism as soon as possible. So we could even be seeing a hand of Midas Death Prophet, just to ensure that you manage to stay on top of EXP, since you need to get all your abilities maxed out as soon as possible. Mule in the mid lane, going to be over in the Sniper, hasn't skilled the ability yet, so he wants to wait and see what lane he's up against. If he's against the Pudge, probably wants to skill for headshot at 1, otherwise against the Viper, maybe take aim at 1. Smoke rotation coming in, and the boys at Recursion, led by Arab King over in the Pudge, AIT going to be the Bristleback, defense of the Assholes going to be the Sand King, actually spots out too easy, Smoke breaks, but the Pudge immediately backs away, and Pinks come out, and that smoke rotation was wasted, as opposed to the only advantage they got from that was the very greedy pub wall, but that's probably going to be de-warded out, with the Sentry Wards. Actually, no Sentry Wards, so never mind, that's not going to be punished at all. Defense of the Assholes, Namakian going to be over on the Viper, tries to skill Poison attack at 1, actually has it procced on autocast, you usually don't want to have to do this. Regen Rune in the bottom lane, going to be spotted up by AIT, it's going to be the off lane, so we're going to be seeing a tri-lane Viper. Or at least a dual lane, since it looks like Pudge is going to be in the mid lane, so yeah, we're going to dual lane with the very greedy jungling, and he just probably even chose to start with Gloves of Haste at 1, no mana clarities. Very interesting decision making coming up from the boys in Recursion. Mule up against the Pudge should be having a fairly easy time. Missing a few CS here and there, but he's got the headshot up and he's able to deal a lot of chip damage over on Arab King. This is the advantage of Sniper in that 1v1 position, is while the hero is incredibly squishy and does have that low base damage, with a few points up in the headshot, he does a lot of harassment damage. Just because Sniper has excellent time on target, since he has the highest range in the game out of any other hero. He's able to do a lot of work, and Broda in this dual lane will be able to get a lot for free. Namakian can harass him back with the poison tech, so that's the advantage of having Viper in the safe lane against the off laner. But at the same time, Void with superior base damage, and with such high level 1 stats, Void has the best level 1 stats in the game, 69 base damage, 5 armor, and he's starting with a poor man chill as well. So the attacks coming out from Namakian aren't really going to do all too much, and so he'll be able to find a fair amount of CS. He's already got 2 denies. So he's off to a great start over in the off lane. He really should. They need to place a lot more pressure on the Void, since otherwise he's a ticking time bomb. If he's able to find farm, he's able to get his EXP up. Once he hits level 6, he can go for a solo kill over on the Viper with that maxed out time lock. He does a lot of damage. And Mule, he's having a great start up against Arab King, who's been forced back just because he knows that every time he goes in for a CS, even if he gets it, he's going to take a lot of damage in return. So Mule's checking him every time he goes for a CS, but making sure it's always a trade. You never want to give anything away for free in the game of Dota. Whether it's forcing them to waste mana to go for CS, taking their life away, or going for denies, you always want to make sure that there's some kind of trade. If the enemy team's able to get something for no return coming up from you, then they're in the advantage. Since in terms of strategic positioning, if they get the golden EXP advantage over you, that gives them a lot more flexibility to work with, especially once they get their core items or their core levels up. So Pudge, until he gets the level 3 hook, he isn't really too much of a threat. It's very easy to see where he'll be hooking you from. with the low range hook. We've got the safety ward spawning out to support rotation. Invis room being picked up by Arab King. He's rotating to the top lane. This hasn't been spotted out since the only ward over in the top lane is over in the dire side, so Broder has to be very careful. And he's actually chosen to go for 2 points in the time lock, 1 point in the walk. He's setting his ground against Mackie. It was actually in tower range. Hook flies and Broder could be that could be first blood in his hand. He actually gets one more right click on the Viper before he dies. And this offlaner is off to a fantastic start. And the Mackie put himself way too far forward. Tanked 3 tower shots as well as a time lock. And even though the Arab King was able to land the hook, he was able to get a kill on the carry before the offlaner died. So that's a trade that 5IP are very happy to take. And with that, there's already a 600 gold lead in their hands. And that's just also due to the fact that they've got superior CS. Since AIT, over in the offlane, he's actually got nothing. So 0 for 0. 2 easies already on this case, trying to back him off. Since Bristleback actually chose to scale Nasal Goo at 1. So he can't do anything in the offlane. If you at least scaled Quill Spray at 1, the supports have to be careful of going on you. But since he's got Nasal Goo, he can't do anything. They could dive him, they could choose to bully him in a lane, and he can't even find the CS, since otherwise, if you're playing the Bristleback, you could at least use the Quill Spray to find some farm that way. Looks like he chose to go for Rigger Basilius as his first item, as opposed to the boots. And so it makes it even more difficult for him to stay in EXP range, since the supports should constantly be able to zone him out. Too easy really should be playing a lot more further forward, especially since he got the boots advantage. If he ever catches out AIT for too long, he's going for the Shackle, and Wolfcut can follow up the Crypt Swarm. So he has to be playing a lot more aggressively to ensure that the offlaner gets zoned out completely. Since he's level 1 compared to Broder, who's level 4, almost level 5, 2 points up in the walk, 2 points in the bash, going to be maxing the bash, choosing not to go for the backtrack. You usually see a value point in the backtrack, since the 10% PRD chance to instantly heal back any damage you take can make or break the void. But that being said, 2 points in the time walk is usually the optimal point up in him. Unless you're choosing to max the time walk first, you usually want 2 points up as soon as possible, just to give you that extra wriggle room to work with, since it gives you a lot of defensive and offensive capability, especially with the fact they only cost 90 mana. So Namakian, every time he goes forward like that without support, Broder could actually choose to just time walk and start smacking it full around. If he gets a lucky time lock bash in, he does a lot of damage to the Faceless to the Viper. Viper looks like he's going once again for the old school build. Don't do this at home, kids. It doesn't give you anything. The reason why you used to go for this build is because Poison Attack used to have a cooldown at the early levels. So level 3 is when it had 0 cooldowns, that means you could constantly orb walk. Now that's no longer the case. At level 1 it has 0 cooldown. And so the Poison Attack early on, if you are choosing to invest points in it, you stop at 2. Just because the 20% snare is all you need to work with. You want the maxed out corrosive skin. And also with this build, if you are happening going for this build, the only cases where it be worthwhile is if you're constantly zoning out the enemy hero. When you're against a Void who's a melee hero, he should be at half HP if you're going for this build. He should be too low to go close to the creep wave. Since otherwise there's no point in skilling this build. If you skill the corrosive skill, it gives you a lot more survivability. But while I say that, AIT Arab King with the haste rune goes over in too easy shackles him up. Pudge G TP's in as well. Wolfcut could be taken full, especially with the haste rune. One more right click, and they're able to recover very nicely. With 2 kills over the bottom lane. AIT taking a lot of damage, and only he's on the hump, but no boots up on him, as well as Arab King hanging around waiting the wings. And only he went to pull the creep camp, and while that was happening, the other 2 players died. So Faceless Void almost got level 6. Once he has level 6, he can go for a solo kill on the Marking, especially since he has no point in the corrosive skin. So every time the Sand King rotates and Broder spots us out with the safety ward, he can go for a kill attempt. But in the mid lane, Mule, he's off to a fantastic start. He has not been contested at all. 31 for 21. The mark of a good 1v1 player is how many denies they get in lane as well as last hits. If you're able to get denies without forfeiting last hits and keep up in denies, at least on a 2-to-1 ratio, then you know that you're able to control the lane a lot more effectively than the other player, since they're getting a lot less experience than you do. Every time you die creep, they're only taking 2/3 the amount of experience. It used to be 1/3 for ranged heroes, so it used to be even more devastating. And so Mule over in the mid lane, choosing to max out the headshot, so the headshot gives him a lot more offensive capability. It looks like the mic, people are complaining the mic might be a little low, so I'll turn it up a bit. And with Phase Boots up on him, he's already got another item flying out. Looks like he's going for the Ring of Aquila, so it gives him a lot of cheap early game stats. With the support rotation coming in with only and 2 easy, smoked up, this is the drawback of the support duo, is they don't really give you a lot of immediate kill impact. Since you have to ensure that the Shadow Shaman can get in range for the Shackle, the Ancient Apparition can't set up kills on his own, and so you have to time that perfectly with the Ice Vortex and catch them off guard as well, so they're not able to respond in time. Arab King's got boots up, but he's going to be spotted out. Too Easy's leading the charge, he's got boots up on him as well. Pudge has got the same movement speed, and Faceless Void, he gets a kill utilizing the Chronosphere over the Sand King. The Markian, he wants to get a return kill, Looks like the Nature's Prophet was looking to TP in, backed off because he knew that Faceless would be too tanky to take a fall. You don't want to men find him, especially against a tower if he gets a lucky time lock in.
That's got to hurt.
7 minute 20-second hand of Midas up on Nature's Prophet, so the greed of the Nature's Prophet has not been punished at all. In terms of the gold lead, very slightly, the 1,500, but 2,500 EXP lead, that's a lot more important. Looks like Wolfgang went for very early drums. He's got his exorcism up now. Hook flies out, unfortunately misses. You want to time it so as the creep dies, the hook flies out. Otherwise, you'll wind up just hooking the creep back and looking a bit silly. Pudge level 5.5 compared to the level 8 sniper, so that's a 2.5 level advantage that the sniper has. And Pudge can't be left alone against the sniper now, especially now that he's got almost the maxed out headshot as well as the assassinate. He can actually go for a kill attempt on Arab King. One headshot takes 175 HP points. Arab King actually could be taking fall. Yeah, he's dead. Assassinate flies out, and Mule JFKs him in the face. Lee Harvey Oswald shooting the president. Too easy. He's now rotated over to the top lane to provide Yoda a bit more support since Wolf can't. He can be left alone against the Bristleback. Bristleback can't do anything against the Death Prophet. Death Prophet wins 1v1. He's designed to win 1v1s. When you have an advantage, as well as you're up against a melee, it's pretty much done and dusted that you're going to control that lane. Mule with that Ring of Aquila and the 3 points up and take aim can now start harassing the tower as well. It's another reason why the sniper is very effective. He does a cheeky assassinate over in Ferg, takes out a third of his life. Could have actually chosen to go for a kill attempt there. If he faced himself forward, if he decided to play a lot more aggressively. But Mule playing it safe, he doesn't want to throw away anything. Namakian, now he's got a point up in corrosive skin, but it could be too little too late since Viper's a hero that you want to be able to win the early game. You can't play from behind when you're playing the Viper, since you want to get mechanism up as soon as possible. Defense of the assholes, calling out the Cronus Founders, the sentry wall being placed there, and he takes the fall. Wrath of Nature flies through. Broden decides to commit over the Namakian. Namakian uses the Viper strike, he leaps out. Too easy runs, and Only's also hanging, waiting there in the wings. Uses the chilling touch. Backs off. Mule's waiting there as well. He unfortunately didn't get the chilling touch, but Namakian eats the cold feet. AIT turned into a pig. Or to the ram now, I guess. Broda taking a lot of damage, but with the time walk as well as the assassinate flying through, he's able to kill him, and Namakian once again loses life, so the safe lane Viper unable to accomplish anything at all since he's nowhere near his mechanism. He's about 1,000 gold, so he could at least pick up one of the pieces. But 10 minutes into the game, your Viper should have already had a mech up, and he's actually chosen to go for Trent first, so his mech is even further delayed, and that means that the team fight coming out from Recursion is significantly weaker. Since the reason why mech is such a great pick up in the Viper is it means that you can't ignore him. Since he can run up and kill heroes on his own by running them down. With the mech up, he's providing the EHP that you get from Vanguard to your entire team. And so it means that you're forced to focus down the Viper, but the Viper maxes corrosive skin, you can't force him down. And so it means that your team always is operating under the advantage of the enemy team being forced to react to you. And if you ignore the Viper, with the Viper strike up, he'll be able to go in one of your backline heroes and kill them. Now with the mech up as well, you can't afford to ignore him, since you'll be able to keep everybody else alive. Broden in the top lane, playing it fairly safe, is building towards the Mask of Madness, actually choosing to completely forego any points in the backtrack. You usually see at least 1 point in, after 2 points in the time lock, but Broda, he's feeling fairly cocky. Well, we've got all 5 heroes from Recursion grouping up, they have to take this top tower, and the top tier 1 tower is the least important tower in the game for the Radiant side. They don't really care if they lose it. But that being said, they don't want to give anything away for free, and so Mule TPing into the tier 2 to not give it away that he's TPing in. And while that happens, Wolfgang on the bottom lane, unfortunately doesn't have enough mana for an exorcism, and Broda didn't have the Chronosphere off cooldown. If he had it off cooldown, he could have started the fight there by initiating an AIT. Arcane Boots up on the Shadow Shaman, and that's when the game starts to fall a bit out of your controls. The Shadow Shaman, his biggest drawback is he needs the Arcane Boots before he's really effective, just because he chews through so much mana with his Mass Serpent Wards, that you almost have to have Arcane Boots up on him. Especially if you want to use all of your abilities more than once. And since Ether Shock has such a low cooldown, you can usually get off 2 Ether Shocks in the fight if it's prolonged. Arab King throws at the hook, completely misses on a stationary illusion. Feeling a bit silly, decides to find a bit more farm. He still doesn't have the level 4 hook, so this is the issue with the Pudge, is you have to provide, it's a fair amount of investment in the Pudge to get the ball rolling. Since he's a hero that's entirely dependent on snowball, you want to make sure he gets level 7 in a timely fashion, and you want to make sure that he has enough CS to be effective. And once he hits level, just so that he can get level 7 in a fast enough fashion, once he gets level 7, he can rotate around the map and create space for the rest of your team. But until he's able to hit level 7, he doesn't really provide your team anything at all. Looks like Defense of the Assholes catches out 2 of the Burrow Strike, uses the Sandstorm, but unfortunately sentries are even placed, and never mind, the Assassinate was providing vision, so great recognition coming out from Mule, as Assassinate provides you true vision of the target until the Assassinate projectile flies. Arab King rotating top, wants to go for a kill attempt on Mule. But Mule with the Maelstrom very early up. He's farming up the treants, and he's acting as bait. If Eric decides to go for this, Broda spots him out, and he immediately backs away. Ping's flying out for him. Only spots out of rotation. Shackle on over an Arrow King. He's being right-clicked down. He's now turned into a ram, and the lightning proc from the Maelstrom finishes him off. Pudge, he gets time-locked. Defense of the Assholes actually runs into the Chronosphere, so we've got 3 heroes in the Chronosphere. TP support finally comes in. AIT, bit too late. Looks like he's going to be building towards the mech, but he's very delayed on that mech. And in the mid lane, Viper and Namakian trying to do a bit of chip damage over the tier 1 tower. But Wolfcunt, he's able to take your tier 1 in the bottom lane. He didn't even use the exorcism, so he could use that to pressure the tier 2. So great recognition coming up from Wolfcunt. Similar to the Mass Serpent Wards, you only use it if you absolutely have to. If you could hold on to the Mass Serpent Wards and clear out the creep wave by just through a sheer creep attrition, then that means you could use your Mass Serpent Wards or your exorcism from the next tower. So Recursion, they're about to lose 2 towers. Arab King, he TPs in on his own, uses to dismember, but he's going to be taking full of the entire team there. Burrow Strike lands on 1 as well as the Sandstorm. And there's no sentry being placed. Pudge dies to the Maelstrom proc. Mule gets a triple kill. Defense of the Assholes breaks his Sandstorm and feeds him an ultra kill. And Mule's quickly reaching that point of no return where he's got critical mass. 2,500 gold up on him, and the tier 2 in the bottom lane's going to be taken 4 off the back of that. So 3 tower swing and 4 kills in the space of a minute. 2 easy, catching out Namakian. Over with the Shackle, time walk forward from Broder's able to smack him down, and Mule gets a rampage. This is the first rampage of the ODL2, going in favor of Mule and 5 IP. The sniper pickup, everyone says he's a bad hero. Mule showing it clear-wise that's not the case. Too easy, saying he's going on the piss. Yule Scepter going to be coming up from the Death Prophet very early on. Blink Dagger up over on the sniper. So now Mule's got all the mobility in the world. Blink Dagger works fantastically on the sniper because you don't necessarily have to build damage on the sniper. Just by building attack speed, you get a lot of damage. Since you're going to get more hits than any other hero in the game, since you've got instant projectile speed and you've got that extreme range. And since Headshot provides such a huge amount of damage, especially this early on, all you really need is attack speed. And so what the Blink Dagger gives you is it gives you a lot more aggressive and defensive maneuverability. If you see the hook flying out, if you've got fast reflexes, you can blink out and the enemy team initiates on you, but they're not able to immediately deal damage. You can just blink out behind the rest of your team and start plinking away. So it's a really advanced level pickup over the sniper that gives you a massive amount of positional play. And since snipers here are entirely dependent on your positioning, Broder actually eats a hook to the face, especially the Master Master. It does a lot of work over on him, but he instantly time walks out. Neil blinks forward aggressively. It's caught out, unfortunately, in the Chronosphere. Eats the Wrath of Nature. AIT taking a lot of time lock damage. Third TP's in, immediately turned around by 2 easy. Good recognition coming out from him. One more right click, and the Cryptstorm cleans him up. Mule gets another kill. Wolfcunt gets a double off the back. And that Serpent Ward's dropped very late as the tower dies. His teammates immediately ping him out, saying report yellow. The boys from 5IP, though, they're having a lot of fun. They're all playing as 5 over in the Net Cafe. So they're getting used to the LAN experience. It gives them a lot more team synergy, I guess, since they're constantly yelling at each other's face, as opposed to playing completely online. Recursion doing the exact same thing. I believe they're also playing as 5 in the LAN. Viper over in the top lane. He hasn't accomplished anything at all this game. Usually when you see a Viper, he is hands down the best 1v1 hero in the game. When you lose as 2v1 against the Faceless Void who has 0 laning presence, especially against a hero like a Viper that punishes melee heroes, you know that the game is in the dire straits. Broden is off lane. He's only died once, and he's able to cheap so much, and he's still got first blood before he died. We've got the call coming out from Wolfcunt. Apparently Mule hasn't died at all this entire ODL. And considering he's got the first rampage, I'm not too surprised. Mule is probably the best mid player, or at least 1v1 player in the ODL. The only person that could come close to him probably being Snow or Dumbled. Dumbled against Mule, that would be a 1v1 matchup I'd be willing to pay money for. Since both players very talented over in the mid lane. Broder, Master Man's forward, leaps forward over on AIT. AIT getting smashed up by Mars Spaghetti. Hooks him back, but unfortunately only pulls his body back, so Arab King can at least send that home to his parents. Namakian denies the illusion rune, even though Broder had backed away. And he gets time walked forward, Assassinate flying up from him. Hook flies out over the Namakian, pulling him back, and the Corrosive Skin, as well as the Viper Strike, is still online for the Namakian, so he can turn around. Actually, it looks like he threw out the Viper Strike. Hurricane TP's back home. Broder looks like he's building towards the Agnum Scepter, so it gives him a lot of solo killing power. Every time he sees a hero on his own, he can use the ultimates to go 60-second cooldown, and the increased duration means that the other 2 cores are able to deal a lot more damage. So the Sniper Faceless Void combination works fantastically, since when you have a Sniper, you want to build people that could draw fire away from the Sniper and could lock the enemy team in place. It's the reason why Elder Titan and Earthshaker or the Tidehunter work so well with the sniper and against the sniper, because they can immediately act as bodyguards and keep the sniper alive while he deals damage. Well, he's building towards the Mjolnir, so when you have to face this void, you've already got that immediate setup. All sniper has to do is not get caught by the chronosphere, but considering how easy that is, once the Faceless Void is on your own team, assuming they're confident, they should be able to not chrono you and chrono the enemy team. He can hang back in these fights and simply plink everyone down. Arrow King throws that hook on Broder, but Broder says, buddy, misplay coming up from you, and Too Easy cleans him up. Who's hooking who here? AIT caught up and it turns into a ram. He gets shot down by Mule. Mule 10 for 0 for 4. He is absolutely on fire. First rampage at the ODL2 going into his hands. Broder pops his mask and Madness turns around with the chronosphere. Actually, unfortunately catches out Too Easy, so miscommunication coming up there. Too Easy is also locked in, but there's no support coming in from Recursion as everybody else is dead apart from Namekian, who's over in the bottom lane. Still trying to contribute to the rest of his team, so Namekian contribution to this game. Sweet fuck all. Broder is able to clean up the tier 2 over in the mid lane, so that deprives more map vision and more map control away from the enemy team. There's actually a TP support rotation coming in from Arab King, who catches out Too Easy. Too Easy didn't get the memo, but Broder's there, turns around the shackle, buying enough time for Broder to get the kill. Unfortunately, Too Easy's caught in place, and he gets fed to the creeps as he's able to end this spree. Bit unfortunate, but Broder's at least able to time walk in time to be able to capitalize off that, so they at least make it a trade. Invis room being pinged out. Wolfcut denies it. He doesn't need no Invis where he's going. Yulceptor up on him. Level 11, so he's got the level 2 exorcism, and he's building towards the hard thrust. He uses a drum charge casually just so he could get back into base. Wolfcut is playing very cocky, and for good reason. There is a 20,000 gold lead, not even 20 minutes into the game, going in favor of 5IP, and a 16,000 EXP lead. It's quickly reaching the point of no return for the boys in Recursion. The only hero that's relatively close in terms of net worth is the Nature's Prophet, and Sniper has almost 3 times his net worth. Looks like Nature's Prophet's building towards the Orchid of Malevolence, so he finished the treads. When you're playing the Nature's Prophet, you usually don't want to upgrade treads unless you're playing that Admiral Bulldog build, where you go for treads into Maelstrom into the Blink Dagger. Otherwise, you either go Phase Boots or you keep it on Naked Boots, especially if you're playing this Greed Nature's Prophet, where you went for the Hand of Miners. Going treads is another 950 gold that isn't going to help you fight immediately, and doesn't really provide much value. If you're going for the Hand of Miners, you have to be as efficient as possible with your build order. And considering the fact that he got it at 7 minutes and 20 seconds, so not the fastest minus. On the safe lane farm, you get it in 1 minute. Over the Nature's Prophet, so long as you could get it by 8 minutes, it's okay if you're jungling. But the fact that they decided to go for a greed on the Nature's Prophet since you got a late game, but you're not going to make it to the late game at this point. Since Arab King on the Pudge didn't accomplish anything, Namekian over in the Viper didn't accomplish anything at all, and AIT, he was zoned all the hell out. And so when all 3 of your lanes are decisively losing, Greed from the Nature's Prophet doesn't really accomplish you anything. Arrow King throws out a hook, but who's catching who is Mule. He's able to plink him out, and with the Mjolnir buff, the Static Storm over on Broder, you don't want to go anywhere near him at this point. 100 gold away from his Aghanim Scepter. Mule farming up a Storm. He's got the Ultimate Orb up on him, so he can build towards either the Mantis Cell, probably going to be a Lincoln Sphere going over on the Mule. Or he could be building towards the Ayasgadi. Actually, Ayasgadi probably would be the better pickup, since he doesn't really need the Lincoln Sphere, especially with a Bristleback on the enemy team to break it with a Nasal Goo. Mantis Style also is very nice, but you usually see Yasha picked up before the Ultimate Orb. But Mule could be deciding to throw us into the loop. They should be able to clear up Roshan. Mule probably going to be picking that up just to make sure he doesn't die at all this game, since he's the majority of the damage and the majority of the net worth as well. So long as Mule, you don't interrupt Mule, you win these fights. Just because the Shaman a right-click damage he's able to pull off. The reason why Sniper is also so powerful is, especially if he goes for the Maelstrom build, he can deal damage to your front line and your back line. He can pick off your backline heroes before they're able to save himself alive. Wolfcut caught up with a great hook. He's able to Yulceptor himself up in time. Broder catches out 3. Epicenter flies up from defense of the assholes, but unfortunately completely whiffs. He's locked in place at the time with the Chronosphere. Great Chronosphere coming in from Broder. Triple kill over in favor of Mule. Assassinate flies on Namekian, and Wolfcut, he decides to chaos it. Mass Overwatch dropped a GGB cold 21 minutes into the game. 5IP completely spank Recursion, with the first rampage of the ODL2 going in their hands. So we're just going to take a quick break and we'll be right back for game number 2. Stay tuned.